We're joined today by softball head coach Jamie Smythe. 2012 season was a very successful one for the Monks. 33-9 overall, 23-3 in GNAC play, en route to winning the second consecutive GNAC championship and making an appearance in the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. Coach Smythe, just kind of looking back, what is your blanket statement about the season you just had?
Just another successful season. I think when you start out the year, you obviously set some goals, and one of our first goals that we set was to win our conference championship and be able to advance to the NCAA regional tournament. And this year we were able to do that again, fortunately, for the second year in a row. And we got to regional play and lost our first two, and that was the end of our season. So it ended in kind of a disappointing fashion quickly, but ultimately we always want to start out with the goal of winning the conference championship, and that doesn't necessarily mean you've had a successful season, but there's a lot of variables that go into that, but that's certainly one of our top goals starting out each year.
Coach, it has to be very rewarding to repeat as conference champions. I know one of the cliches in sports, the hardest thing to do is to win again, to win another championship. Talk about the differences in the two championships, 2011 versus 2012. Talk about the differences in the runs in the tournament, and maybe what each one means to you comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, it's, they're both obviously special, exciting, runs through the tournament. 2 years ago, we, obviously we played softball at a high level both years. 2 years ago, we had a different, kind of a little bit of a different route. Emerson typically was probably the strongest team the last couple of years in our conference. They were the #1 seed, and 2 years ago we didn't have to face them. They lost in the opening round, lost in the second game, and ultimately didn't make it to the championship. It was the first year of winning was definitely very special because it's something that you've never accomplished before, and I'll always remember that. Last year, we did face Emerson. We faced them twice and beat them both times, and so it was a different sense of accomplishment in terms of, now we're going through the #1 seed of the tournament and beating them twice, and neither one is more gratifying. I mean, they're both very gratifying to do, but definitely a different feel from one year to the next in terms of the route that you took to get there.
Now, you mentioned the untimely ending to your season there with 2 losses in the Northeast Regional Tournament, which was held at Amherst College. A couple close games, could have really gone out of the way, and the second game was an extra inning loss, versus in 2011 when you guys went down to Rhode Island and you stuck it to a couple teams, and it was kind of a Cinderella run there a little bit. And not that you didn't deserve to do what you did. You had a great team that year as well, and it's really kind of a difference. I think expectations going into this second year were like, all right, we've been here before, right? And it just didn't turn out your way.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately when you get to that level, the regional level, every team is good, and your mistakes are magnified a little bit more at that level of play. And 2 years ago, we played really solid softball, and were able to knock off Endicott and then Coast Guard and make our way, into Sunday and potentially get to a championship game, which didn't materialize. But and last year, the year that we lost 2 straight, we just made some mistakes that end up, hurting you. And like I said, you you get to the regional level and every team is good, and good teams, as you know, Corey, are going to make you pay for your mistakes, and that's ultimately what happened last year.
Been a very good defensive team and uncharacteristically made some errors. What was it in that game against Cayuga? Was it 5 errors in that game or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was just very uncharacteristic of your team, and just unfortunately wasn't meant to be. And that loss signaled the end of a couple of some of the best players in program history. Getting into the individuals here, of course, the first one, a position player, Emily Leveroni, who basically owns every record in softball history, single season and career. And then the other being a pitcher in Maddie Cluna, who is in the top 5 or top 3 of every pitching category here at St. Joe's. The 4-year careers of those two athletes, having been around them, what did they mean to the program, and what does it mean to go on without them?
Well, I mean, first Emily, you're right. I mean, she's the best softball player I've ever coached. Phenomenal hitter, great defender. It's the type of kid you could play anywhere and she would be successful. Again, was the thing best about Emily was consistency from year to year to year to year. Every single year she performed for us, produced for us, and was really the heart and soul of our lineup and our team, and a good reason for our success. And we're going to miss Emily a lot, and Maddie, on the other side of the ball, had some, really in my tenure here has been one of the best pitchers that I've coached, and always took the ball in some of our biggest games, and got us one of those regional wins 2 years ago. Had a phenomenal career for us, and the thing that obviously we'll miss aside from the talent is the fact that both of those young ladies, really wanted to win, and that was their ultimate goal. They could care less about their individual accomplishments, their stats. They really didn't care about that. They just wanted St. Joe's softball to win the conference, win the regional, and that's what makes them special players.
Now, continuing on the individuals, Teresa Hendricks comes out for her second year. Her first year she was hurt, but her first year on the field for you, comes out and has a tremendous year on both sides of the ball, really, and she threw the first 7-inning perfect game in program history. Just talk about her contribution and what you thought of her coming in, and how she actually fared as a first-year player.
Yeah, I mean, when Reese was a senior in high school, she was actually, I think, one of the 2 finalists for Miss Maine softball, and I think she was runner-up. But obviously knew she was a great talent in high school. When we got her on the rebound, transferring, unfortunately she got hurt. We didn't have her 2 years ago, but it was just great to see her healthy this year. It took her a little while to get back into the flow of softball, and she couldn't have had much better of a year. Like you mentioned, great hitter, great competitor, great job on the mound for us. Did throw that perfect game, but the thing that strikes out to me, 2 things for Teresa is her athleticism, her competitiveness, and when you combine somebody that's so athletic with somebody that's so competitive, you're going to get the type of player that Teresa is, and just real happy that we're going to have her for a couple more years. So.
And also players like Lindsay Moore, Heather Tripp, Danielle Schufelt, Connie Grovo, Kim Jordan, and Ray Marie Copen in the circle, along with Kayla Vanna. Some good returners coming back to offset some of those losses, and hopefully a good class of newcomers coming in. How do you? The program just seems to be growing every year. How do you continue with that? How does that continue to grow into a regional contender every year?
Well, I mean, you got, first and foremost, you got to, you know, continue to recruit year in and year out and try to get players that are, you know, maybe better than the players you have returning. And, you know, I think that's a sign of a good program when you can do that. And, you know, that's what we try to do. I mean, some years you have good recruiting classes, some years you don't, but what helps you ultimately is if you have success, if you have a good season, if you make the postseason and play well, you're going to get a lot of interest because there's a lot of players that want to be part of a winning program, and hopefully we're building that here. You know, it's you know, a situation where hopefully year in and year out we're going to continue to be strong and continue to be competitive, but you can't do that without you know, really working hard and recruiting and bringing in good players year in and year out.
Now, kind of an offshoot here, you've played Maine Orono the last couple of years. Is that something you plan on doing for this year and the coming years as well?
Yeah.
What does that do for your team to play a Division I program?
Well, I mean, it gives you an idea of, you know, the difference between a Division I program and a Division III program. You know, I've always been, when I first started out with Dick Bailey years ago, he always had the philosophy that, you know, the better teams you play, the better it makes you ultimately, and that philosophy's always stuck with me. And, you know, I would rather play a team like Orono and lose to them than play a weak team and beat them, because I feel like your team gets more out of that loss playing high-level competition, and it's like that anywhere. It's like that in any sport. You know, I feel like if you play up in talent, you know, ultimately it's gonna help your program out, and hopefully that does by playing Orono.
Speaking of Coach Bailey, of course, you coached under him as an assistant. Now it's a role reversal for the second year in a row. Coach Bailey has served as an assistant on your staff. I would talk about the dynamics of that, how that works. I can't imagine you're barking too many orders at him and he's asking, you know, how high do I jump for you, Coach? I mean, how does that dynamic work?
I mean, you know, I've known him for, you know, 20 years maybe, and you know, when I was a student here, he was dean of students, so I've probably known him longer than that. But I mean, he's just you know, he's like a father figure to me. He's you know, knows softball, taught me a lot about softball and coaching softball, coaching young women, and you know, it really doesn't, we don't put labels on ourselves. I mean, we're both coaches for this team, and ultimately we want to try to help this team win. We want to try to make these young ladies, you know, learn lessons about life and become better human beings. And, you know, hopefully we do that. But, you know, we work well together. We've always, you know, we have, I think, a good, you know, unity together, and we're both out for the same objectives, and that's to you know, represent the school well and hopefully help young women become better individuals.
Now, it's certainly fitting that you garnered Coach of the Year honors last year, but these awards are voted on prior to the conference championship. It's your second Coach of the Year honor in the last 3 years for the conference. Just talk about what that means to you, and you know, you're probably going to be humble and all those sorts of things, but are you surprised when you learn the news that you were selected by your peers as the Coach of the Year, and what do you think of that honor in general?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, I think it speaks to the, you know, the players first and foremost. You know, I mean, it's definitely humbling to be selected for that award, but you know, ultimately it's the, you know, it's the success of the players. It's how you handle your program and represent the school. You know, it's definitely an award that I appreciate, but you know, it's not about me, it's about what the team does and their performance and their success. It's not an award that's about me, that's for sure.
Now, one last question here. It's kind of a curveball. Is there one memory that stands out from last season? It could be anything from, you know, the championship celebration to a freshman's first hit, or, you know, it could be anything. Is there anything that when you think of last season, what kind of memory pops to mind? You have a second.
I mean, honestly, I think this is, you know, I'm not sure if it's a memory, but it's a two-game doubleheader that we played down at Emmanuel, and it was, you know, regular season conference games, but it was a night doubleheader, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock down in Boston, and it was freezing. You know, it was cold, it was windy, and I just remember how well we played. We had might have had 5 or 6 home runs in the doubleheader. On a day where I told Coach Bailey that, you know, it's really going to be tough to get a ball out of the infield tonight. It's really cold, it's windy, and I just remember how well we hit the ball, how well we played. You know, we had great performances from everybody, and it's, you know, I don't know why that sticks out in my mind. I think maybe because it was, you know, a lot of times as a coach, you like those games where you feel like you almost played perfect. I mean, I don't think you ever feel like you really play a perfect ball game, but for that 3-hour stint on a weekday night around 6 o'clock in Boston, you know, we really, you know, played great. And as a coach, that's what you like to see out of your players. And like I said, it wasn't a significant game. It wasn't a playoff game. It wasn't a crucial turning point of the season. It was just, you know, regular season games, but it was, as a coach, you feel like, you know, hey, everything came together during this doubleheader, and, you know, made the drive home a little bit shorter from Boston.
A good answer, Coach. I'm glad I asked that question. Thanks a lot for your time, and good luck next spring.
Thank you.